The whispers began, a low hum that quickly escalated into a roar. Ferrari's 2026 engine leaked, and the fallout? It ignited a firestorm, leaving Lewis Hamilton and Charles Leclerc caught in the blaze. Is this the future of Formula One? Or just the beginning of the chaos? But what exactly surfaced, and how did it send shockwaves through the very foundation of Maranello, leaving even the most stoic figures rattled? The sacred halls of Maranello, usually a fortress of impenetrable secrets, suddenly felt like a sieve. Whispers morphed into shouts, then panicked calls from top brass as the full scope of the breach became horrifyingly clear. This wasn't just a simple rumor. This was a detailed technical dossier on the very heart of their 2026 power unit, splashed across the dark corners of the internet. And caught in the maelstrom, two drivers found their carefully laid plans, their very futures, suddenly upended. Charles Leclerc, scion of Monaco, the prodigal son groomed for championship glory, at Ferrari, was reportedly apoplectic. Imagine the weight on his shoulders, years of carrying the Scuderia, year after year of next year is our year, only to have their crown jewel, their golden ticket to 2026 dominance, exposed before it even hit the dyno. Sources inside Maranello painted a picture of a man on the ragged edge, his frustration, usually cloaked in polished professionalism, giving way to raw anger. This was his team, his destiny, and someone had just flung open the gates. The tension in those famous red garages, already simmering from seasons of near misses and strategic blunders, reached a boiling point. It felt less like a racing team, and more like a high-stakes geopolitical thriller, with everyone eyeing their neighbor with suspicion. And then there's Lewis Hamilton, the man who, for years, epitomized Mercedes Silver Arrow's dominance, now poised for the audacious switch to red. His move was already the biggest driver transfer in F1 history, a narrative arc even Hollywood couldn't dream up. He's been through the political battles, the engine debates, the cutthroat rivalries. He's seen it all. But even for a 7-time world champion, this was a curveball of epic proportions. How do you prepare for your future when the very blueprint of your next winning machine has been compromised? Hamilton, ever the calculating strategist, must have been dissecting every single byte of that leaked data, not just for its technical implications, but for the inherent message it sent. Ferrari, for all its mystique, has a leak, and a significant one. While Leclerc grappled with the immediate emotional fallout of betrayal, Hamilton's reaction, though perhaps less outwardly volatile, surely held a deeper, more profound concern. He's betting his legacy, the final chapters of an unparalleled career, on this move to Maranello. He's done the hard yards with the Mercedes team struggling to find its footing, battling a car that often seems to defy the laws of physics. He's gone from being the hunter to, at times, feeling like the hunted, but his resolve, his belief in his own ability to elevate any team, never wavered. He's seen what it takes to rebuild, to inspire. The question now looms, is he walking into a Ferrari renaissance or a viper's nest of internal strife? Already exposed before his wheels even touched the Maranello tarmac in 2026, this wasn't merely an engine spec. It was a testament to the internal vulnerabilities of one of sport's most iconic brands. And for Hamilton, who thrives on meticulous preparation and absolute trust, this leak had to be a jarring, unsettling signpost on his road to redemption. This wasn't just a localized incident contained within the walls of Ferrari. The tremors from this leak reverberated across the entire Formula One landscape, sending shockwaves far beyond Maranello. For Mercedes, Hamilton's soon-to-be former home, this had to be a moment of complex emotions. On one hand, a vindication. Of sorts, perhaps Hamilton's intuitive grasp of internal struggles wasn't unfounded. On the other, a stark reminder that even the titans of the industry are vulnerable. Wolff, ever the pragmatist, was surely running simulations not just on engine performance, but on the psychological impact of such a breach. Would this make Hamilton question his monumental decision? Unlikely, given his unwavering focus, but it adds another layer to an already high-stakes gamble. The leak essentially threw a hand grenade into the carefully constructed 2026 plans of every single team. Development cycles, which typically operate in top-secret, compartmentalized silos, suddenly felt compromised. Teams would now be scrambling to assess if their own intellectual property was vulnerable, or if any elements of Ferrari's leaked design could, ironically, be exploited or adapted. The perception of fair play, a cornerstone of any competitive sport, was undeniably tarnished. How do you level the playing field when one team's innermost secrets are potentially exposed? This wasn't a penalty for exceeding track limits. This was a fundamental breach of trust, a betrayal that could ripple through the sport for years. Critics of Ferrari, who often point to their strategic missteps or their tendency for internal drama, surely felt a smug sense of validation. "See," they'd whisper, "it's always something with them." The irony, of course, being that this entire episode, while damaging to Ferrari, also highlighted the sheer desperation and cutthroat nature of F1. Every team is pushing boundaries. Every team is looking for an edge, and every team guards its secrets with a zeal normally reserved for national security. But this wasn't some rogue engineer tweeting a blurry photo. This was a comprehensive leak suggesting a deeper, more insidious vulnerability. It elevated the eternal F1 narrative, the battle between engineering genius and human frailty, to a new, unsettling level. And for Hamilton, about to step into this maelstrom, it presented a fresh, unexpected challenge. He's not just driving for a new team. He's now navigating a team under siege, forced to rebuild trust and fortify its defenses before the 2026 cars even hit the track. Any rival driver, perhaps Max Verstappen or even George Russell, who might have privately relished the idea of Hamilton stepping into a potentially less dominant environment, now had to reckon with the fact that Ferrari's vulnerability might, in a strange way, galvanize them. The underdog narrative, often attributed to Hamilton himself in recent years, could easily shift to an entire team fighting to restore its honor. This wasn't just about horsepower. It was about integrity, about trust, and about the sheer, unadulterated drama that only Formula One, with its combination of cutting-edge technology and bare-knuckle competition, could ever deliver. And this is where the genius of Lewis Hamilton truly separates itself from the noise. Listen, you hear the whispers, don't you? He's past it. He's chasing money. He's abandoning Mercedes because he can't hack it anymore. Please. That's like saying Tom Brady left New England because he couldn't win another Super Bowl without Belichick. Or LeBron James packed up for LA because he was afraid of an Eastern Conference Final Series. Legends don't run from a challenge. They seek it out. They crave the opportunity to prove the doubters wrong, to add another, even more improbable, chapter to their already historic careers. And let's be brutally honest, if Max Verstappen, for all his undeniable talent, had to step into the mess Hamilton has been navigating at Mercedes these past 2 years, a car that's been more of a science experiment than a race winner, he'd be throwing his headset in the trash after FP1. He'd be screaming on the team radio about setup issues and tire degradation. Hamilton, meanwhile, kept plugging away week after week, squeezing podiums out of a car that, by all rational measures, belonged in the midfield. That's not a driver in decline. That's a master craftsman, working with inferior tools still. Producing art. This engine leak? For Lewis, it's not a deterrent. It's just another variable, another piece of the puzzle. He spent his entire career adapting, innovating, overcoming. Remember the billion-dollar man era in the NFL. Those aging, still dominant quarterbacks who seem to get better with age, dissecting defenses with surgical precision? That's Hamilton. He's seen every defensive scheme, every strategic gambit. He's been in the political locker rooms, seen the backstabbing, the subtle undermining. This Ferrari leak, while certainly a black eye for Maranello, isn't some existential threat to Hamilton's resolve. He's not joining Ferrari for a joyride. He's joining them to win, to elevate them to a level they haven't seen in nearly 2 decades. And if he finds internal weaknesses, he'll be the one to expose them and demand change. Think of the presidential campaign trail. Candidates face constant scrutiny, leaks, and opposition research. The truly effective ones don't crumble. They pivot, they adapt, they turn potential weaknesses into strengths. Hamilton operates on that same level of strategic thinking. He doesn't just drive the car. He drives the entire operation. The critics, bless their hearts, will continue to pontificate about his age, about whether his prime is behind him, but watch him on track. Watch the audacious overtakes, the sustained race pace, the ability to protect his tires when others are graining theirs into oblivion. That's experience. That's a deep understanding of the sport, forged over decades at the pinnacle. It's what separates the Hall of Famers from the very good. When LeBron James can still drop 40 in the NBA at 38, or Serena Williams can reach Grand Slam finals in her late 30s, you don't talk about fading. You talk about longevity, about an almost superhuman dedication to their craft, and a mental fortitude that allows them to push past perceived physical limitations. Hamilton isn't just relying on raw speed anymore. He's playing chess while others are playing checkers. He's anticipating the moves, understanding the nuances of tire degradation, seeing opportunities that younger, less experienced drivers miss. And in a sport where marginal gains are everything, that mental edge, that sheer force of will, is often the most potent weapon of all. This leak, then, far from signaling doom, might just be the first real test of his ability to lead Ferrari through a crisis even before he officially arrives. And if F1 history has taught us anything, it's that Lewis Hamilton thrives in the eye of the storm. He doesn't wither under pressure. He becomes the pressure so, while the F1 paddock buzzes with chatter about Max Verstappen's current dominance, or George Russell's supposed rise, ask yourself this: could either of them, thrown into the Ferrari chaos Hamilton now faces, navigate it with such stoicism? Verstappen, undoubtedly quick, operates in a meticulously engineered ecosystem at Red Bull, where every piece is optimized, every strategy executed with ruthless efficiency. His car is a precision instrument. Would he know what to do if the instrument itself was compromised, if the very blueprint of its future was on the dark web? Would the man who sometimes gets visibly frustrated by a minor setup issue truly thrive in a situation where the team's integrity is under attack, where the very foundation of trust is shaken? It's one thing to drive the fastest car and win. It's another to lead an empire still reeling from a breach of its most sacred intellectual property. This leak, in a bizarre way, is a test of leadership, not just driving skill. George Russell, for all his talent and smooth PR, is still in the process of defining his own narrative. He's shown flashes of brilliance, particularly when the car is behaving, but the consistency, the ability to pull a rabbit out of the hat when all hope seems lost, that's still a work in progress. He's a rising senator, poised for greatness. But Hamilton? Hamilton's the president who stared down global crises, who's rallied a nation through turbulent times. This Ferrari situation isn't just about lap times. It's about unifying a fractured institution, mending a broken trust, and inspiring confidence in a team that's just had its future exposed. It's the equivalent of a star CEO taking over a Fortune 500 company that's just suffered a massive data breach, a different kind of pressure, a leadership challenge far beyond the confines of the racetrack. His rivals, in their high-performance cocoons, simply haven't faced this level of external and internal turmoil. They've benefited from stable leadership, consistent car development, and a relative lack of public drama. This engine leak strips all that away for Ferrari, leaving them vulnerable and exposed. And it's into this maelstrom that Hamilton is stepping, not as a panicked victim, but as a seasoned crisis manager. He's not looking for an easy ride. He's looking for the ultimate challenge, the one that truly defines a legacy. And because he's done it before, remember the early days at McLaren, the political battles with Alonso, the relentless pursuit of an unprecedented 8th title. He brings a level of experience and resilience his younger, less battle-hardened rivals simply can't match. They might have the raw pace, but Hamilton has the wisdom, the fortitude, and the unshakable belief in his own ability to bend reality to his will. This is why his impending arrival at Ferrari, even amidst this chaos, signals not decline, but a thrilling new chapter, a testament to his unique and enduring brilliance. This isn't just a driver change. It's a paradigm shift, a master strategist moving to the front lines of a brewing war. And for those who think it's a vulnerability, I say this: you clearly haven't been paying attention. You haven't seen the man who stared down a vastly superior Red Bull and still found ways to win. You haven't seen the champion who, when everyone wrote him off, somehow found another gear. This leak isn't a setback. It's just another hurdle for him to clear, another narrative arc to conquer on his way to sporting immortality. The immediate aftermath of the leak wasn't just a fire drill across the Maranello factory floors. It was a psychological earthquake that sent fault lines cracking through the entire F1 paddock. Teams previously in deep dives on their own 2026 concepts suddenly paused, their strategists feverishly analyzing the leaked Ferrari data. Was it a bluff? A misdirection? Or a genuine, catastrophic breach? This uncertainty alone became a weapon, a new layer of psychological warfare in an already cutthroat sport. Ferrari, under unprecedented scrutiny, had to not only address the internal investigation but also manage the external perception. Every statement was scrutinized, every public appearance from Fred Vassar or John Elkann parsed for hidden meanings. The pressure on their engineering team, already immense to deliver a championship-caliber car after years of near misses, multiplied tenfold. They were no longer just designing a revolutionary engine. They were rebuilding trust, both within their ranks and with their future star driver. For Mercedes, it presented a different kind of strategic dilemma. While they might have initially felt a fleeting sense of relief or even schadenfreude at Ferrari's misfortune, the bigger picture quickly emerged. This leak fundamentally altered the competitive landscape. What if the stolen data gave a rival an unfair advantage? Could this breach lead to an arms race of espionage, pushing F1 into a dark era of digital warfare? Toto Wolff, ever the chess master, was undoubtedly considering not just the technical implications, but the ethical and political fallout, and how to best position Mercedes in a potentially compromised environment. And for Merck's current drivers, George Russell must have felt a strange mix of emotions. On one hand, the chance to finally step out of Hamilton's shadow to become the undisputed lead driver for a legendary team. On the other, the stark reality that the F1 world was perhaps even more brutal and unpredictable than he had imagined. Would his ascent be overshadowed by the drama unfolding elsewhere? Meanwhile, the pressure on Red Bull, and particularly on Max Verstappen, subtly shifted. Their current dominance, built on meticulous engineering and ruthless execution, suddenly had a new asterisk. Could their own secrets be safe? And perhaps more importantly, with Hamilton entering a potentially galvanized, yet vulnerable Ferrari, would this unexpected twist make their path to future championships even harder? The leak wasn't just a static piece of information. It was a dynamic force, reshaping alliances, deepening suspicions, and setting the stage for a 2026 season where the battle wouldn't just be on the track, but also in the shadows, a high-stakes game of industrial espionage and psychological fortitude. For Lewis, stepping into this inferno, it wasn't daunting. It was, in a strange way, confirmation. Confirmation that F1, at its core, is always about overcoming the unexpected, about turning chaos into opportunity. He thrives on this, on taking the unwinnable and making it his own. This isn't over. Not by a long shot, because what this engine leak truly reveals isn't just Ferrari's vulnerability. It shines a spotlight on the unique, almost mythical journey of Lewis Hamilton. He's not just a driver. He's an icon who elevates every challenge, who turns every setback into a stepping stone. He's battling against the relentless march of time, against the critics who whisper doubt, against a new generation of talent, and now, against the shadows of corporate espionage. But that's precisely why this story, already epic, is about to become legendary. This isn't just about winning an 8th title. It's about defying every single expectation, about proving that true greatness isn't measured by smooth sailing, but by navigating the most treacherous storms. Hamilton isn't just racing the grid. He's racing history itself, chasing an immortality that very few athletes ever achieve. He's going to Maranello, not to polish Ferraris, but to forge them anew, to imprint his will onto a team hungry for redemption. The leak is just the first hurdle in what promises to be the most compelling chapter of his career. What do you think? Is this leak a curse or a blessing in disguise for Lewis Hamilton? Does it fire up Ferrari or cripple them? Is 2026 already shaping up to be Lewis Hamilton's ultimate revenge tour, not just against rivals, but against the very concept of limits? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. The hottest takes, the boldest predictions, we want to hear it all. And if you're ready to stay strapped in for every twist and turn of this unprecedented saga, hit that subscribe button, ring the notification bell, and join the most informed F1 community on YouTube. Because with Hamilton, the best is always yet to come.